Hello and welcome to the first episode of Grow, 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 a YouTube series dedicated to helping you grow, scale your business. This is for founders or people working in startups or scale-ups, anyone from product to engineering to sales to marketing to growth to operations, anything that is part of the system inside an organization that helps that company grow. My name's Will, I'm the host of the show, and what I'll be sharing with you is some key actionable insights into how companies achieve epic growth from my own experience and from the experiences and insights that I gather from many of the companies that I work with. Additionally, I probably consume about 10 to 20 hours of content across YouTube, Audible, and podcasts each week. And from those key insights, from that content, I'll try and take some of those key insights and package them up in bite-sized, actionable chunks for you. So if you like the show, make sure you subscribe, and let's get into the first episode, Understanding Product Market Fit. What a great place to start. So let's go. So product market fit, what is it? This is what you need to know. It equates to one function done really, really well. So just one thing. What if I said to you that your business does one thing and everything else that it does supports that one thing? So you have a core value prop and a supporting value proposition. The second thing is that one function should align directly to the core value prop, the way you articulate what it is that you do out there in the marketplace to your potential customers. Everything else that you build into your business is actually secondary to this goal, and it should only exist to make the core better. An example would be Google's core value prop is a search engine that knows exactly what you mean and gives you back exactly what you want. And the way they do that is through instant results. By investing, let's say, $1 billion into making image search possible, what Google did was make it possible for you to search in a visual manner as well. That's still the core utility of search, but it's supported by an additional functionality of image search. So let's have a look at some of the best examples. We've already talked about Google, but they describe their search engine as their core value prop as a search engine that understands exactly what you mean and gives you back exactly what you want. Look at the UI, a search bar and instant results. Now they found product market fit on day one. And think of the billions of dollars this company has spent, and they've been smart enough to not deviate from this interface or this design. By comparison, in the same way that AOL did or in the same way that Yahoo does today. Another example, Uber. This is an older interface, but the reason why I use it is because it shows you this core utility in a nice big button in the center of the screen. Uber's so well designed that drunk people can use it. In fact, probably a tenth of the people using Uber are actually drunk. So have a look at this. Set pickup location, and you can see and that's the core utility. Well, the core utility actually is a platform that helps you move from A to B, or get anywhere quickly, right? So Uber describes it as transportation in minutes. And if you look at that interface, they give you one button that allows you to set your pickup location and basically start the workflow of how the core values realized by the user or obtained by the user. But, and this is probably the most important thing, you can lose your core. And time again, we see companies that start with this level of clarity, and externally customers understand what they do. But over time, internally within the company, the language starts to change, the projects and objectives start to change, the team starts to change, and that knowledge can be lost, and the company can go off course. I'm going to show you two examples now of what that looks like when it happens. So Upwork is our first example. If you know the tools Elance, Freelancer, Odesk, Fiverr, these are all examples of freelancing websites. A few years back, Elance and Odesk merged to form Upwork, and this was the user interface that employers were presented with when they logged in to get someone to do a job for them. So let's run our process. First thing, what's the core value prop here? It's get work done. People use freelancing websites to get work done quickly at a low cost remotely. So it's a two-sided marketplace, employers and workers. As an employer, which is the view that you're seeing here now, the first thing I'd want to do is post a job. As you can see, that's not easily clear on how to do that. And the UI paradigm is off. where it's asking me for search for freelancers as though I know who I'm looking for. I think sites like this often have 10 to 20 million workers on them, so I definitely don't know their names. So what happened at Upwork when this went live? Well, hopefully if they're using product metrics or product analytics properly, they would know that their job postings would have gone down, and it looks like they did. Actually, before we get to that, as I say, find freelancers to tackle any job, any size, any time is their core value prop as articulated by them. So going back to that, you'd want to be presented with an interface that looks like this. Maybe 2 or 3 months after they went live, they quickly updated their interface and presented this view. So we have a nice empty state here, which is basically okay. Usually we would use this subtitle under the H1 here to say, click here to post your first job, rather than a navigational facility. But you can see here, most importantly, we've got that nice button like what we saw on Uber. Only problem here is I'd prefer to see that button in the header. I still think this paradigm around find freelancers is poor, and there's still a lot of kind of distraction going on in the menu bar. What about just a big post a job button over to the right? But it's a massive improvement. As it stands today, Upwork have continued to optimize on this, and they've started to get better at helping the user actually post work by providing these job templates. Nice arrow here always increases conversion. And notice again, we've got 2 buttons now. We've got a cleaner nav, but we still have this find freelancers. Again, I'd love to see that post a job up here and just remove this find freelancers paradigm altogether. If I was running growth at Upwork, the first thing I would do is find out what percentage of employers see the post a job call to action in any given session. I'm imagining it could be 10, 20, 30%. And the second thing I'd want to know is what's the rate of interaction between posting a job as a task or find freelancers as an interaction type. And if my suspicion would be that this has very low interaction and that it doesn't necessarily lead to great user journeys or user experience, for example, returning poor search results, this has a lot more business value, and it might actually have a higher interaction rate despite being only available on one specific view on one specific page. Nonetheless, I haven't seen the data, so who knows? So the next example number 2, Airbnb. What's wrong here? Well, there's actually a lot, unfortunately. So we all know that Airbnb is a website that you use to book accommodation. But when Airbnb launched their experiences offering, a kind of adjacent product, probably to improve retention, you can have a lot more experiences. For every one place you stay, you could have many experiences. Great opportunity to increase average order value or lifetime value of a customer as well. But the problem here is that it's become the core. And remember that lesson, the core value prop of Airbnb is booking accommodation, not booking experiences. But it's somehow made its way onto the homepage and pushed down the search bar for booking experiences, booking accommodation. So, a couple of key things. 1, welcome to the world of trips. Welcome to the world of trips. Not overly clear on what I'm getting. Homes is problem number 2. That's a God term. I know from a brand positioning standpoint, Airbnb like to describe these places that we stay at as being homes. But if I asked you, how many homes do you have? You would hopefully answer 1. So this is what we call a God term. And why it's a God term is it leverages known schema, things you already know to be true, to try and teach you something new. So it's like me saying, it's like Uber for helicopters, right? I'm leveraging 2 concepts or constructs that you're already familiar with to communicate to you a new idea. There's no mention of the word here, accommodation, which is what most people would understand Airbnb does. Third problem, see what's new. That's a very loose call to action, a very poor directive, especially for somebody who's probably wanting to book accommodation. But probably the biggest problem here, both visually and, again, breaking our schema, breaking the things we know to be true, is the way this interface is presented. So if you ask me, and hopefully you believe the same, these look like book covers to me or movies, not experiences. Why is that the case? Because my existing schema, which is the things I already know to be true in the real world, tells me that this ratio of imagery is what's used to communicate a book cover or a movie. Airbnb have used this same ratio here to describe experiences. And similarly, similar artwork. Some of these covers very much look like movies. Last but not least is that the actual utility of the site, the core value prop, Google's search bar, the equivalent of Google's search bar, for example, sits below the fold and probably wouldn't be clicked on by many people given all of this visual distraction that's going up here. Many people, many internet users would find this button difficult to single out or identify in this UI. So Airbnb, always one with words. The way they describe their core value prop is a global travel community that offers magical end-to-end trips, including where you stay, what you do, and the people you meet. If you ask me, it's book local accommodation online or something like that. Find unique accommodation in cities you're visiting. But their core functionality is search. Just move that out of the way, move me back over there. So where would you click? Let's have a look. They want you to click on that button and interact with this search flow. So inside Airbnb, how would they know that whether this UI is working or not? Well, hopefully they're tracking, and I'm sure they would be, homepage search volume. So what percentage of people visit the homepage successfully make a search? Right? And my bet would be that this would have dropped dramatically when they switched this interface on. If they were measuring this, they would be quick to rectify this, and it turns out they were. Within maybe a month from memory, they had quickly changed it back to this. Now what this looks like to me is when you ask an engineer to design a website, super easy to use. We've got a lot clearer articulation of what's actually going on. Airbnb, book unique homes and experience a city like a local. We've got our primary utility back up above the fold, and also these are still experiences down here, but we've now changed them to actually look like experiences. So we're not breaking the user's schema. We're not uneducating the user about what this actually means. Shortly after, Airbnb changed their interface. It went back to the design team, and then it looked something like this. Book unique homes and experiences all over the world. So we're getting a different what I call verbal nail. I'm going to do a session on verbal nail or communication or copywriting in the future. Subscribe if you'd like to see it. But book unique homes and experiences all over the world. Again, we've broken the schema. That's an improvement, that H1. But if we jump down here, there's two massive things wrong with this interaction. Number one, homes in Oregon. I'm searching this from Melbourne, Australia. Right, so not localizing my experience in any way. Also, that God term's back. I really don't like this God term. I'm not looking for homes in Oregon. And lastly, is a search bar the appropriate way to provide a structured input for accommodation booking? No, definitely not. Most people would want to put start date, end date, and the city that they're visiting. Right? So, did this stick around? Let's see. No, it didn't. But where did they go next? Well, here's a really great one. So we can see the H1, the verbal nail, has gotten better and better. We're now down to 5 words. I'd love to see this book unique accommodation and experiences. But we've got our structured search form back, which is fantastic. Of course this should be there. Isn't it amazing that these exceptional teams test? It's fantastic that they're testing these things, but can deviate so far off course with just fundamental user experience. So we've got our search fields back, and if you look down here, we now have an annotation of where this image is actually from. Right? I'm happy for this to say unique homes in Oregon. Stay in unique homes in Oregon. Find over 300 unique homes to stay in while you're on holidays in places like Oregon. Some clearer articulation of this framing of we actually use homes to provide you with accommodation. But at the top here, for all internet users, I think accommodation is still a stronger term. So that's it. Or do you want to see one more? Let me just show you one more. So this is for a friend's product, Vero. Maybe some of you might use it as growth marketers. So Vero's interface a few years back looked something like this. Now Vero, for those that don't know, is a email marketing tool. Chris Hexton founded it. It's a fantastic tool. Why is it so cool? Because you can trigger emails based on the event stream, trigger push notifications. It's very, very lightweight. It's kind of like email as a service or email infrastructure that you don't have to build yourself. It's fantastic, and it can ingest your entire application event stream. Again, we'll do another session on the event stream in the future. But most growth marketers, people like you and me, would log in and want to send an email from a tool like this. And again, core utility, send an email, send a message to the right person at the right time, something like that for event-based marketing. Question would be, where would you click? We've got intercom in the bottom right corner, a couple of primary calls to action here, and a menu bar over on the left. And I think if I move this out, no, that's it. We've got search down the bottom left corner. Okay, so Vero describes their core value prop as communicate the right message with the right person at the right time. Again, where would you click? This is the interface. Chris and I ran a click test, and this is the distribution of clicks. So you can see there's a very, very unorganized kind of user experience or user interface here. Notice here as well, we've got a lot of interaction with the intercom or the chatbot in the bottom right corner. Again, we'll do another session on third-party applications trying to steal your traffic, steal your UI, steal your conversion in the future. So we made one change. We put a core value prop jobs to be done button in the top left corner here, send an email. We ran a click test again and look at the results, right? So nothing is more, takeaways from this session number 1, nothing is more powerful than clearly articulating your core value prop and then providing the user with an appropriate UI, utility, to access that, to obtain or unlock that core value prop, even from the homepage. In the case of Google, it's a search bar with instant results. In the case of Uber, it's a button sitting over your current location. In the case of Airbnb, it's a search form which lets you put in a city, start date and end date of your travel. In the case of tools like Vero, maybe tools like yours, it's a single button that starts the core workflow which the user can use to obtain the value offered by your business. So I hope you enjoyed the first session. That's Grow, Grow, Grow. Stay tuned for more. This is definitely an MVP, but I hope to add to it if I get some traction, get people subscribing, and enjoy making these videos myself. But for now, see you next time. Thanks a lot.